Today on Making It in Manufacturing Spotlight Series, I'm joined by Himanshu Gadgil, the CEO of Enzene Biosciences. Welcome.
Thank you, Tom.
Perfect. So, Himanshu, over the past 10 years, you have been leading the growth for Enzene, from a small biotech in India to now a global CDMO. And with the recent expansion into the US, there's a lot of exciting things going on at the moment. And I think to start with, let's start with the nice award in front of us. Can you just give a bit of an explanation of what you've won?
Yeah. So, Tom, we've been at it for the last 10 years or so. And, this is a good recognition of all the efforts that we've put into really building this continuous manufacturing platform. We call it the EnzeneX. We are at EnzeneX 2.0, and we want to continue to, of course, grow it to, EnzeneX 3.0, 4.0, and so on. But it's not been easy, right? Because when we started out, there were not too many other companies who were doing continuous manufacturing. In fact, we are one of the leading CDMOs that does this. So there were a lot of failures. And somebody asked me at the award ceremony here, what is it that you remember most out of this journey? And I think what I remember most is when we first started connecting these things together in GAP, we failed 25 times consecutively, right, before we figured out how to do this. So I think, there's been a lot of learning just from those failures.
Yeah. Look, I think we will dive into the platform and we'll dive into some other things in a bit. But to begin with, can you just give a quick snapshot of the business, your role?
So I'm the CEO of Enzene. We started out as a R&D unit in 2016 in Pune, India. And initially, because unless we had experience, we would not get too many clients working with us. So we said, okay, what do we do? So, and Alchem, that's the holding company, is a very strong in like a generic sales pharma company in India. So we decided to venture into biosimilars. And that is where the whole genesis of EnzeneX happened because, biosimilars is where you get that cost differential and advantage. And so initially, we were a biosimilar development company and we never had an intention to get into front end, right? So now we have 8 products launched in India. We have a product that actually get registered in Europe shortly and US next year. But we've completely pivoted now to CDMO. And, instead of keeping the EnzeneX restricted to ourselves, we thought we wanted to open up. So 2019, 2020 is when we decided to really start looking at CDMO because we had this EnzeneX platform. And now we've done around 30, 35 projects, at various different stages. A lot of US clients, some global clients as well. And now we've set up our manufacturing in the US from where we are servicing clients.
So EnzeneX, can you explain what it really means and why it's a game changer within manufacturing?
Yeah, so it's right behind us here where it's a fully connected manufacturing platform. So while a standard fed batch, you have to hold the process after each unit op. There are around 6, 7, 8 unit ops based on the product that you're making. And there's a whole tank in between each of those. So when we started out, we wanted to address the cost of goods. And we thought if you are able to make a compact manufacturing, you will get the cost advantage. So we all talk about continuous, but the other important word is connected. So it's a fully connected continuous manufacturing platform, FCCM. And we are probably the only fully connected continuous manufacturing platform, which means all the way from upstream to pre-drug substance, all the unit ops are connected. Which means in a 1,500 square foot, we can now manufacture up to 40, 50 kilograms a month. Yeah, wow. That's what's the real disruption.
Yeah, the baby. Scaling that type of technology can be quite complex, challenging from a regulatory standpoint and also operationally. So, what are some of the challenges around scaling such a complex platform?
It's an interesting question, Tom, scaling. So we did have a lot of early conversations with regulators in India, regulators from the US, like US FDA. And of course, more recently, US FDA has come up with a guideline for continuous manufacturing of biologics. And the platform that we have actually fits very well with those guidelines. So I think there's a lot more acceptance of the platform now. But you raise an interesting question about scaling, right? So conventional manufacturing fed back, when you go from, say, a 50 liter to a 20,000 liter, there's that scale up related issues. But here, there are different ways to scale. You can scale up. So we've gone from 20 liters to 1,000 liters per fusion now. But you can also scale on, which means initially you can manufacture for 15 days. and then you scale on in time for like 30, 35 days. That's where a lot of our processes are at 35 days right now. Or you can scale out. Because it's a very small footprint, you can keep on putting in more sweets. We call it the pizza pie approach, right? Where you build for the whole pie, but each slice you put as your capacity growth. So we've kind of fully scaled out in India now. And now, the US was kind of a geographical scale out too, right? From India to the US.
Yeah.
So we are starting there with 2 manufacturing suites, but we'll hopefully scale it out fully to the US also.
Yeah, I think the interesting point is that you have so many different options.
Exactly.
And I think that's key because as a business, you need, the CDMO business, you need to be agile and be able to make and pivot. I think it's really important. So you've got that opportunity to be able to do it. This might be a hard question, but in the last 10 years, what's been your proudest moment leading the business?
And there have been numerous. I think, launching products in India, we started out with a purpose of democratizing healthcare for Indian patients. Affordability remains a big challenge for Indian patients, right, for access to medicines, right? So we launched Polduzumab, and I cannot compare which product launch is better, but each one of them is incredible.
It's like, who's your favorite child?
I know, but every time you launch that product, it's a different feeling.
Yeah, it's a different feeling. No, and touching then onto the US expansion, I think it was 70 million so far that's been invested into the new facility. It's recently opened over the past month. How's it gone? How's the opening?
Yes, because we had Governor Murphy who came for the opening, so that was incredible. Very proud moment for all of us. I worked in the US for many. I mean, my professional upbringing is in the US. Did my PhD, work for many companies there. But, none of us, when we decided to set up shop in the US, none of us really had an experience to do that, right? So there were challenges associated with that. But now we've learned through that whole process. So definitely a lot of learning for us to set up manufacturing in the US. And now we're excited. I mean, we have capacity booked already for the 2 lines that we put. And so we are now in Jan, we'll start expanding in the US. So we're seeing a lot of interest for the US side. So that's quite exciting.
What were some of the surprises, unexpected surprises with the site? Stories you can share?
Have you been to India?
I have 3 times actually. South Goa, a little village called Kavalossam. Beautiful. Yeah, I went. My family's gone for about 15 years every year.
Oh wow!
So it's a place close to my heart for family reasons.
So India is an amazing country, right? But the moment you get into India and start driving, you realize that there's not much planning, right? You just go with the flow. And, before starting our US manufacturing setup, we've done quite a bit of this in India, right? I mean, we started with a small R&D, then we set up our clinical manufacturing, commercial manufacturing, a brand new R&D. So we had a lot of experience in projects. But the way India works in project and the way US works is very different. So India is like Indian traffic, right? You can go along the flow and say, hey, I really don't like this and let's make this design change. And it's very easy to do. US, everything is extremely planned. So any uncertainty and just culturally, people get a little nervous.
Very different. Yeah.
In India, there's a lot of people know how to deal with the uncertainty. So I think that cultural difference was a huge learning step for many of us. And now, of course, we have 2 beautiful cultures, right? We have a US side with US culture and India side with India culture, and then trying to put all of that together is very, very exciting and interesting.
No, amazing. And could you go into a couple of the challenges that you did face with opening the sites in the US? It could be operationally, it could be manufacturing, and how you overcome it as business.
We are still just starting out, right? So, I spoke about the uncertainties in terms of how you plan and the delays that happen. Not much, by a few months. We intentionally chose the site where we are now because it was a brownfield. So a lot of the infrastructure was there and we had to set up our GMP. So Touchwood, we've not had huge challenges so far. I'm sure we'll face. I mean,
Yes, any new site, right? There's always challenges, yeah.
So we are just starting out. Yeah. So let's see.
Then, in terms of what was the strategic thinking around the location? What comes into play when making that decision?
So we, like in 2021, 2022 is then we decided to set up manufacturing in the US. And I did like the whole coast to coast tour. So I did like Boston all the way down to North Carolina on the East Coast.
It's a fun trip.
And yeah, full trip. And then Seattle all the way to San Diego, right? And at that time, we were like still in the COVID kind of trailing COVID wave, and everybody wanted to invest in biotech manufacturing. It changed very quickly, just like COVID went away. So there were not a lot of facilities available. New Jersey had a lot of facilities, but also, the state had this Choose New Jersey that helps businesses come to the US. So we found that very useful. Boston was very saturated. North Carolina was saturated. And East Coast is more preferable because they're in India. So the time difference is more manageable, right, to run the business. And the talent in New Jersey. I mean, New Jersey is the global manufacturing hub. So there's a lot of talent in New Jersey.
No, cool. So time zone and talent are the two key metrics looking for locations.
And manufacturing, availability of manufacturing space.
That's good. And most importantly, what advantages is the US site now going to have on patients?
So US is going to be a full-fledged CMO and CDMO. And, we offer EnzeneX, it offers reduced cost of goods, but it's also like a brand new technology, right? I mean, I like to think of it as Tesla of biomanufacturing. I mean, that's where we want to take this in the future, right? By the time we are EnzeneX 6.0, I would like to see the process govern itself like a self-driven process where very minimal human intervention, bring your process analytics and QC integrated into your manufacturing process, and it can be fully automated. I think it's going to be incredible.
And have you got a lot of plans for that in terms of...
Yeah, so we already are collaborating with Rutgers. They're right there in New Jersey. And we have a nimble round where we are integrating the process analytic technologies into our overall EnzeneX process flow. So hopefully by next year, it will be fully integrated.
Yeah. So there's still, again, that's the exciting part. There's still improvements and things so you can take EnzeneX to the next level around that.
Absolutely. We are going to launch CIDMO, right? So continuously innovative development and manufacturing. And that's what we want to be, right? We have a good head start with EnzeneX. And now we are at EnzeneX 2.0, which is the 1TL. But we want to continue to build it, right? Like, I like to think of it like iPhone. Every year we want to take it to the next level.
Make it bigger, looks the same, looks better.
Make it bigger, better, more automated, like when it comes to bioprocess, better cost of goods. You have to continue to evolve that technology and not just...
It's a great mindset to have. And I think I want to touch on your leadership. I think you started as a scientist. You've come up to now the boardroom as a CEO. So what lessons have you taken from the scientist right through to now to shape your leadership style?
I think first principles, everything is the same. Like if you look at how a P&L reads versus how a process, flow reads, I think it's the same. Yeah. But I think just the ability to take risks, as a scientist, you're always in a environment where you don't know if something is going to work or not, right? Because you're at that cutting edge of, science, and in science in general, there's a lot of failures, right? So I think if you bring that to business where you create that resilience in mindset to be able to fail and be okay with it and learn from it. I think from that perspective, I think science really teaches you that better than in any other field.
Would you say that's part of the DNA of the business?
Yeah, absolutely.
You can tell, yeah.
We started out with the wall of failure. I mean, we wanted to celebrate our failures, right? Because if you're in the innovative space, you have to be prepared to fail more often than you succeed.
That's a great idea. I might steal that at our office. You've scaled it from small to big. what have the challenges been over that time with maintaining culture and mindset? And I know you've talked about the US, but what are the challenges around maintaining that over?
Yeah, so I mean, I look at culture as gardening, right? I mean, it's a continuous, just like continuous manufacturing. It's not static. I think, if you embrace diversity, and in that diversity, if you're able to find equality in terms of, just building a culture where everybody is equally important. Equal doesn't mean same, right? I think if you just start with that basic fundamental and, start inculcating the new ideas, new thoughts, new values that come in and try to make something beautiful while maintaining your shape.
Yeah.
Right? So there has to be a clear-cut definition of what is acceptable and what is not. Right? Integrity is uncompromising. Right? I mean, that shape you have to hold, but within that shape, you have to let people express themselves and, through their values and ideas and thoughts.
And the CDMO space is highly competitive. Obviously, you've entered into the space. So how do you think the industry will change over the next decade?
I think the industry in my view, is going to move from having larger manufacturing hubs to more localized manufacturing, right? I mean, and it's not geopolitical, right? Even the newer medicines that are coming out, they're more personalized. So you model, you have a need to manufacture at the site of use. And so we'll see a lot of that. I think we'll see technology kind of disrupt the older kind of manufacturing bases. I mean, I still feel that the current manufacturing is still industrial age, right? From there, we are going to go to more personalized, more localized to really meet the local requirements. And I think that change is going to happen really, really fast is how I see it.
And do you think that it will move into companies will try and specialize and niche down in what they do, or do you think CDMOs will try and broadenize their services?
Yeah, I think both. Once you get to a certain size, you probably will start getting broader. I mean, we've always wanted to be broad. Like if you look here, right, we want to be a modality agnostic CDMO, but we've also started with an anchor, which is continuous manufacturing, recombinant proteins, and then we'll kind of branch out. But so I think that's probably a natural way to evolve as a CDMO, where you have an anchor where you really, really are good. So for us, it's EnzeneX, continuous manufacturing, and then from there you kind of branch out. Yeah. It's like banyan tree. You've been to India, right? It's like banyan tree. So you send those roots down, anchor them, and then there's something that just comes out, and then just keep on going broad.
Yeah. No, and how do you see the relationship between the pharma companies and the CDMOs evolving? Do you think it'll be more partnership driven, transactional?
I think it is more partnership driven in a sense, right? Because there's a codependency. So pharmas depend as much on CDMOs as CDMOs depend on pharma. So I think the better collaborations are the ones which are more partnership focused. And I think those are the ones that will ultimately end up succeeding.
What do you look for in a partnership?
I think we look for our clients who have a similar cultural base, right? I mean, just value base to ours. If there's a misalignment with that, then we generally don't mind even walking away. It's like fundamental things like respect, candor, integrity. I mean, basic things. I mean, if those don't match, then the collaboration is not going to work.
How do you find that though? In a multiple meetings, and you scope it out. It's one of them things sometimes that I think it's quite hard to quantify. I think sometimes when you're in it, because the value things that are in people and in businesses is there.
I mean, there also we keep a very strong line, right, beyond which we don't compromise. Like if somebody comes and disrespects our people, we are just going to walk away. Yeah. Then it doesn't matter how valuable that partnership is. I mean, those are fundamental things that we keep. But inside that box, I think as a CDMO, you have to learn to be more flexible. You have to learn to work with, because we work with so many different clients. Everyone has their own way of working, so we have to learn how to be able to work with different styles. Yeah. Right. So there is something that is uncompromised, but inside that, you have to really learn how to, and that's beautiful too in a lot of ways, because as you said, as a scientist, right, when you're a scientist, there's a little bit of that scientist ego also, right? You're on your own, you're working in the lab, but when you transition from being a scientist now, even our team, right, to more of a service, you really have to be open to various different ways of working.
Yeah, for sure. And looking into the future for the business, what are the biggest opportunities for you? It could be countries, new launches, what do you think's that?
So, US, we are excited about that. We will continue to grow in the US. We are also looking at the hub and spoke model where the hub is EnzeneX, and then we try to put it in various different geographical locations, right? We are talking to companies all over the world. And I think I'm quite excited about that. Just geographical scale out of EnzeneX throughout the globe.
Yeah, exciting. And if we were to sit down in 5 years' time, hopefully there's a lot more awards. What's your vision? What do you want the business to
We really want to be the top CDMO in the world, right? We really want to be known as a innovative CDMO that really not only offers services, but offers our innovation to a lot of our pharma pharma partners, and really be considered as the top-notch CDMO.
Exciting. No, but thank you so much for joining our Spotlight series. Congratulations
Thank
again
you.
for the award. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to next year to hear about the advancements in the platform, and I can tell that there's a sense of there's a core values that are at the heart of the business, which is driving the success. And I think companies that have that, they're always going to achieve what they want to achieve. So I've got no doubt that you'll get there. So yeah, thank you very much, and enjoy the rest of the conference.
Thank you. Wonderful talking to you. The next time you're in India, maybe it's true.
Yeah, I will let you know. Yeah, certainly.